Okay, folks, now that we've got our fill level and drain level working per transaction, if you will, based on our logic, let's go one step further. And let's pretend in this one that we want to keep track of the last 10 fill-ups and the last 10 drain downs of our tank. So in this case, we're going to introduce something new. We're going to introduce an array tag. So in this case, let's go back to the left and go to Programs on the left. And using the same programs we were using earlier to calculate our tank fill and calculate our tank drain, if we look at these programs, I'm going to click on the calculate tank fill level here. And we've already covered, or we're doing this section right here between the ones. This is my first step. Now what I want to do, team, is I want to, in this case, enable section 2 in here to be run. So I'm going to delete this slash star right there, and then of course down here is the corresponding star slash that goes with that one. So I'll do that. That's between what I call the two brackets. And let's look at this logic here. So I got some text lines in here. It says fill the track of at least 10 fill-ups. Fill-up will become an array tag of 10 elements to it. So I want you to notice something different here. You can see here that I think I'm going to have a tag called fill-up, and I've got these brackets. These are not the squiggly nor parentheses. These are the bracket characters. Normally on my keyboard, they're the ones directly to the right of the letter P as in Paul. So I got open, close, and I got a letter J inside. So J is going to be the index value, the variable that keeps track of what element we're currently filling within our array. So if you look at this, team, the first time you come into this, J is going to be equal to 0. So it's going to take the current fill level and put it into element 0 of the fill-up. And then the next line down here, it's going to take J equals J plus 1. So I'm going to increment the letter J. You could also do the same thing as J plus plus if you're more advanced in C. I like to show it this way. That way it makes a little bit more sense unless you're used to the shortcut. Anyway, it's the same J plus plus here as this procedure. And then I said that we're going to keep track of the next 10 elements. So down here, when eventually we get to the 10th element, we're going to reset J back to 0. So it goes basically 0 through 9. And that keeps track of 10 elements. Now, a couple things here. I'm going to compile the code. Remember, that's that little green button that's up here. And when I get done here, we're going to get probably 2 new tags. We're going to get a fill-up, which is going to be an array. I'll show you that. And we're going to get a J index tag. So let me go ahead and click the translate button. Remember, you got to click out here to get the translate button right here to enable. So if I click here, make that the focus. And if I go up here and click it, here we go. 1, 2, 3. So notice here, it barks at me because there's not a tag declared fill-up. I want you to notice, team, that the extent here is, or the array here is what it's going to be. Normally we've been playing with one element or one item, all the others, but this one's going to be an array. And you can see here that by default, Crimson will allocate 16 elements. Now, in reality, we're only going to have 10. Doesn't matter what I put in here. I think there's a bug here in Crimson because when I do this, it doesn't just allocate 16 or 10. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll show it to you anyway. So I'll click yes. And now it's going to bark at me one more time for the J index, which is just one item. It's not an array. It's just one element here. So I'm going to say yes to that. Now, if you notice something, the keen eye, it's going to be hard to see, at least on my projector, but over here on the right, I can notice the fill-up is a kind of a slightly purple color compared to the blue color. So in our software, the purple color indicates that it's an array tag. Okay? All right, so we'll get back to these tags here in a second, but let's continue with the same example. Let's do the same logic on our calculate tank drain level. So if I click on the calculate tank drain level program, again, from the previous section, we've already done this here in the number 1. We're going to do this time stuff that's in the number 2 zone. So I'm going to delete this slash star here, and I'll delete this star slash here, which will invoke this part of the code. So notice there. All right. So again, I'm going to run through this. DrainDown is going to be the array tag with K number of elements. We're going to increment k every time. When we get to 10, we're going to reset it to 0. Now we're going to try to do this for 10 elements. So notice that the diamond over here is currently yellow because I made a couple changes in here. And of course down here, the translate is highlighted. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the translate button right here. Again, Crimson's going to bark at me for the array tag here called DrainDown. I want it to be an array. That's correct. I'll say, again, notice this elements here says 16. I'd put in 10 in the earlier one. You know what, just for giggles, I'll put in 5 this time just to see what happens. I know this is a bug, but it doesn't matter. So I click yes, and here's the K. Same as the J, but K is going to be the array index. So, okay. So there I've got that done. Got my tags created. Now before we prove how this works, let's go over to data tags on the left here, because I got a couple things I want to do. First off, the fill-up tag, this new one we have on the left is fill-up tag. I had said, you just saw me in the video, make that be 10 elements. Well, right here, you can see that the extent goes back to 16. How weird is that? So I'm going to allocate this to 10. Okay, I guess I could leave it 16, but then I'm wasting extra memory spots that I think I'm allocating in Crimson, but I'm going to put it to 10. And then if I happen to cycle power to this screen or something, I want this thing to retain the steps. So I'm going to turn the storage on here from non-retentive to retentive. All right, that covers that guy. Let's click on the next tag, which is the J, the index tag. Nothing here different other than I want to retain the index in case I lose power. So I'm going to make this a retentive tag here as well. All right. Now let's go to the next tag, DrainDown. Now if you remember, just a minute ago when I created this, I believe I set that level to 5. Let's see what happens when I click here on DrainDown. Look, it's at 16. See? And I know that we'd set that to 5, so I'm going to make this 10 is where it should be. Okay. Again, DrainDown is going to be retentive. We want the screen to remember those, so I'm going to make this retentive. And I'm going to click on the K over here on the left because I always want to keep track of where I am in the index in case I lose power. So I'm going to make the K also be retentive. All right. Let's go over here to the left team and click on Display Pages on the left. And we want to see how this works. So I'm going to go over here to the right side and click Data Tags over here on the right side. And here's our new Fandango here. We've got our fill up and our drain downs here. Now, watch this trick. Team, I want to show on the display page out here, I want to show all 10 elements of fill up. Now, if you look here, if I drag, I'll just drag this one guy out here like this. Well, I dragged that tag out. Now look here. This is something interesting. If I double click on this one element that I drug out, or right click and go to Properties, I want you to notice something. You can see that in between the brackets is a constant 0 there. Interesting. So that means this is going to look at element 0 only of that whole array. I want to show all 10 elements of that array, so I'm going to close this, and I'm going to delete that from the page. I want to show you something. Over here on the right side, if I click on the fill-up tag, because that is an array element, you got two things you can do. Right here is a button called Toggle Array. You can click on that, and that will expand it. Or, because this guy is purple, you can right-click on this, and you can do Toggle Array here as well. And that opens up and shows me all 10 elements of that particular array tag. This is exactly what I want, because I want to see all of these. So I'm going to click on the element 0 right here, hold down my magical shift button, and I'm going to highlight fill up number 9. 0 through 9 is actually 10 elements. So I'm going to take all of these out here like this, and I'm going to go ahead and grab the dot right here in the middle to stretch all of them just a little bit like that. Okay, so that takes care of those. I'll collapse that tree, and I'm going to grab the J guy, which happens to be the index element. Just going to put that out here, kind of keep track of how many times we've filled up here. And let's do the same thing on the drain down. Over here on the left, I'm going to click on the, right side. Click on the drain down tag over here on the right side. Once again, I'm going to either toggle the array here, or you can right click on it and toggle array. So I want to toggle the array so I can see all 10 elements. So then I'll highlight the first element 0, slide down a little bit, hold down my shift key on my laptop, drag this guy out here like this, and then I'm going to try to line them up. They don't have to line up perfectly, but I am going to do this. I want all these to be the same width as any of these. So with all of these highlighted, I'm going to right-click on that whole conglomeration, and I'm going to say same size as. Got a trailing X. It's asking me same size as what. Doesn't matter. I'll click on any of these, and it'll be the same width. Boom. Just like that. Perfect. And then I'm going to grab the K guy and drag it out here like this and put it on top. And I'll right-click, make it the same size as that one. All right. Let's see how this works, team. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And let's go ahead and download it to our screen. Let's see what happens here. Did it download? Where did it go? All right, we're done downloading there. I had a momentary lapse of reason. All right, so if you look right now, team, if I turn my pump on, obviously from the previous step, we started at 13. Now if I go turn it off, it stopped at 18. 18 minus 13 is 5. That time we put in 5. And look down here. Element 0 of my array is number 5 right there. That's pretty sweet. Now what if I turn or open my valve? I'm going to go ahead and open my valve. We started the valve at number 18. So when we opened the valve, so we're currently draining. If I close the valve, we stopped at number 9. Look at there. The difference there between those two is number 9. And you can see right here the drain down is number 9. Now what if I open my valve again for a couple seconds, let it drain down a little bit further? Look, that time I took out 3 gallons. That time I took out 2. And of course, if I keep going all the way down here, there I'm empty. Turn it off, I took out 4. If I fill up, you can see there, that's showing up perfectly. Fill up a little further. Perfect. And notice this, team. As I do this, the J and K numbers increment, indicating what fill up or what drain parameter I'm currently on. So if I go ahead and drain down a little bit here, the next entry was number 5. The next time I do this, I'll fill into element number 6. There we go. Let's just see if we can get this guy to, we'll get down to something here. Let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to put some more water in the tank here, because I want you to see what happens when this goes from number 9 to 10. Let me put a little bit more water in my tank here. All right, that time I put 11 gallons in. Okay, so we'll drain down a little further. Boom. That time I put in 3, and now we're sitting here at element number 9. So it should fill in this last number. Let's see what happens here. That was 3. And now K is back to 0. So that is the next entry then would be this top guy here. So if I let it drain down a little further this time, we'll do 4 or 5. Look, that's that number there, and it just continues to cycle over. So the beauty to this now, team, is that we're using an array tag, array type of tag, and based on our logic, we are filling in 10 elements of this each time that we open or close. Well, each time we turn on our pump and then turn it off, we add some element here to fill up. And then each time we open the valve and close it, we do a drain down element. So pretty cool option there. And another method, another thing to show you how you can use an array type tag to do this. Now you can also use array tags for recipes. So I think I've got a YouTube video out there on recipes that talks about how you can use array tags there. I like recipes for cookies, so I make the demo using a cookie recipe. Anyway, all right, we'll continue on the next video in a little bit.